Here are the notes for midpoint formula. The midpoint is the halfway point between two coordinates. You can find it by averaging the x and y coordinates. So first we're going to find the midpoint between A, -4, 6, and B, 8, 6. So you don't need to worry right now about the y values because they're both 6. So the midpoint will also be at a y value of 6. But for the x values, we're looking for the midpoint between -4 and 8, or you can also think of it as the average. So if you go back here, I'm going to take -4 plus 8, and I'm going to divide that by 2 to find the average. So that's going to be 4 over 2, or the number 2. That's why the x value is a 2. Now I'm going to take the A, -4, 6, and point C, which is -4, -5, and find where the y values average. So I'm going to take y1 plus y2, and that's going to be 6 plus -5, divide it by 2 to get the average, and that equals 1/2. So that's why this midpoint is -4, 1/2. Now I'm going to take the midpoint between B and C, which is 8, 6, and -4, -5. So instead of doing it in two parts, where I find the x and then I find the y, I'm going to do it in one step. So I'm going to take the two x's, 8 plus -4, average that, and then I'm going to take the two y values, add them together, and average them. That way, I'm going to get one ordered pair as my midpoint. So 2 is in between the two x values, and 1/2 is in between the two y values. And that's why 2, 1/2 is the midpoint between points B and C. Now here are some problems to work on. So first of all, you want to name your points x1, y1 as the ordered pair for A, and then x2, y2 as the ordered pair for B. Then you're going to follow the formula, x1 plus x2 divided by 2, comma, y1 plus y2 divided by 2. What you're doing is basically getting the average of the x's and then the average of the y's. So you're going to take the two x's, -3 plus 5, divide it by 2, and then take the two y's, 6 plus -9, divide that by 2. This is going to become 2 divided by 2. This is going to become -3 divided by 2. This reduces to 1, -3/2, and that's the midpoint of these 2 points. Let's try the second one. So again, x1, y1, and x2, y2, and then you're going to take the two x's, 2 plus 6, find the average, so divide by 2, 4 plus 8, find the average, so divide by 2. That's going to be 8 over 2, 12 over 2, or 4, 6. The third one is to find the midpoint between these two ordered pairs. So you're going to take x1 plus x2, which is -3 plus 17, divide by 2, and then 51 plus -1, divide by 2, and you'll get 14 over 2, or 7, 50 over 2, or 25. So that's how you find the midpoint if you're given the two endpoints. That should say B. Now, what if you are given the midpoint and one of the endpoints, and you need to find the second endpoint? So there's one way to do this. If you see that you have one endpoint, 1, 2, and then you have a midpoint, and you're trying to find the other endpoint, you can take the first x value and call this x because you don't know what it is yet, divide by 2, and you should get the x value of the midpoint. And you can solve, and that would give you x equals 9. But here's a little bit more of a visual way to do this. If 1 is 4 away from 5, and I'm halfway there, that means I need to add 4 more to get 9. So if I'm going to go from 1 to 5, then I'm going to go from 5 to 9 to get to the end point. Same thing with the y values. 2, if I add 2 more to that, it'll bring me to the midpoint of 4. So if I want to get to the end point, I want to add 2 more, and it'll bring me to the end point of 6. So this point right here, which is a question mark, is actually 9, 6. Let's try one more. If A is -2, -4, and the midpoint is 3, 5, what are the coordinates of this? You don't actually know this yet. So between -2 to 3 is an add 5. Sometimes you'll subtract, but in this case, you're adding 5. So I'm going to add another 5 to get to 8, to my end point. This is my first point, -4. In order to get to my midpoint of 5, I need to add 9. And then I'm going to add another 9 to get to my endpoint, 14. Now, let's say that you got your endpoint, 8, 14, and you just want to double check that you're right. You can add the two x's, -2 plus 8, divide by 2, and you should get your x that's in your midpoint. And then you can add -4 plus 14, divide by 2, and you should get your y that is part of your midpoint. If you have any questions, please come in and ask.